Hello everyone and welcome back to the fourth edition of Winter Data and AI Meetup. Thank you for joining us today. Our today's session is named Scaling Data Governance in the AI Era. In this talk, we will discuss how data governance needs to change as more companies adopt AI. Traditional approaches often do not scale well, and new solutions are needed. Our speakers today are Yash and Vikas, data managers working with data governance and analytics. They will share practical experience on how AI can help improve data quality, metadata management, and governance processes. You will also see examples of how governance can support AI instead of slowing it down. If you enjoy this event, please like and subscribe to support our community. Also, please give speakers a badge and rate this talk on the event page. If you have any questions, please write them in the chat and we will discuss them with speakers after the presentation. And now let's welcome our speakers. Yash, Vikas, floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Alex. Welcome, everyone. The discussion topic today is scaling data governance in the AI era. So, at the outset, before we jump into the slides, I'll just take 20 seconds at the top, and I'll also give my colleague 20 seconds at the top to introduce ourselves. My name is Yash Bhagde. I'm a data governance, data quality, and data analytics professional. I have 16 plus years of experience primarily in the BFSI domain, banking, financial services, and insurance domain. During my professional experience, I've worked with clients and organizations at different levels of their data governance implementation journey. On one end of the spectrum, I have a lot of professional experience working with clients who are in the nascent stages of their data governance implementation. By that, I mean implementing the data governance framework, defining roles and responsibilities, and performing tool evaluations. On the other end of the spectrum, I have experience working with clients who are at a more mature state of their data governance implementation journey. And there I have experience working with some of the leading marketplace tools and implementing the different data governance priorities, be it data quality, be it data security and privacy, be it data dictionary and data cataloging. So that's a quick introduction for myself. I'll turn it over to my colleague Vikas to use the next 20-30 seconds to provide his brief introduction, and then we can jump into some of the agenda items.
Thank you, Yash, and welcome everyone. Thank you for joining the session. Let me try to introduce myself. My full name is Vikas Sapra. I'm based in Delhi. I'm a data governance professional with over 15 years of experience and helping organization build trusted, well-managed data ecosystems. I specialized in strengthening data quality, governance frameworks, and enabling confident data-driven decision making. I'm excited to share insights today with my colleague Yash on how the data governance is evolving in this era and why it is needed to scale. With that introduction, let me hand over back to Yash to take us through the first part of the session. Over to you, Yash.
Thank you, Vikas. So, from an agenda perspective, what we'll be quickly touching upon is at the outset, we'll be touching upon some data governance fundamentals. What is data governance, why it is important, uh, and setting some of the context for some of the future agenda items. Next, we'll be touching upon artificial intelligence and data governance and how this is an evolving relationship. We'll discuss how artificial intelligence is transforming several disciplines within data governance. And we'll also touch upon how data governance is important and foundational for AI success. Uh, Later on, we'll be touching upon a couple different tool demos. These are some of the leading marketplace tools, and the goal here is to show you real time in action how some of these tools are integrating AI capabilities and transforming data governance. And last but not the least, we'll leave some questions towards the end. We'll leave some time towards the end to answer any questions you may have. So let's get started. So moving on to the next slide. So now let's start by first imagining a world without data governance. Now, as data practitioners, people who work day in, day out with data, we all intuitively understand that data is an enterprise asset. And like any other enterprise asset, data should be governed consistently. It should be optimized, leveraged, and secured. and one has to do that in a consistent manner across the enterprise. Going back to our example of a world without data governance, organizations with poor data governance uh, make bad business decisions. Also, it opens up or exposes the organizations to regulatory scrutiny that can turn into financial penalties or reputational damage. So, for any data driven organization, data governance is foundational. Now, at the outset, data governance was formalized as a discipline around the time year 2000 to 2010. This was the time when there were a lot of regulations that were being implemented, be it HIPAA or following the financial crisis of 2008. There were other regulations introduced into the banking environment that necessitated the formalization of data governance as a discipline. Now, uh, you know, a world without data governance, you have poor data quality. So you have garbage in, garbage out. Your business decisions are based on unreliable or inaccurate data. And we already touched upon how that can have some disastrous consequences. You have chaotic duplication. Here you have multiple copies of the same data. There is no clear ownership of data. And, you know, duplicate copies are also impacting the lineage. There is no good sense of where this data is being sourced from, what transformations are taking place, and that is, of course, undesirable. From a data security perspective, you have either you have over restrictive access to data or over permissive access to data, and both of these are undesirable. If you have over permissive access to data, then you have sensitive data that's showing up in reports, dashboards, and spreadsheets. That is that is not desirable, of course. But as organizations are racing towards AI readiness, you now have models that are being trained on your data, and you don't want to expose sensitive data to these models. That can have bad consequences. And last but not the least, we touched upon this earlier: GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA. These are realities of realities of the industry that majority of the organizations operate in. So compliance failures can have disastrous consequences on the business. Moving on to the next slide. So now that we have imagined a world without data governance, let's discuss what is data governance. So at the outset, I touched upon how data is an enterprise asset, and every organization's goal should be to optimize, leverage, and secure this enterprise asset. But it needs to be done consistently across the enterprise. Let's take an insurance company for example. Within insurance company, you have different lines of businesses. You have personal lines. Within personal lines, you have homeowners insurance, auto insurance, health insurance, just to name a couple domains. Let's take commercial insurance. You have property insurance. So there are different domains within the organization, and they all need to operate by the same set of governing principles, policies, processes, standards, best practices. So what is data governance? Data governance is that collection of standards, practices, policies, roles, responsibilities that govern this enterprise asset. Now, there are several data governance frameworks available in the marketplace. Some of them are very popular. Among them, you have DEMA, DMBOK, DCAM. From an operating model perspective, you have a centralized operating model, or a decentralized operating model, or a federated operating model. So there is no one size fits all. Oftentimes, when we work with our customers, one of the first things that we do is perform a data governance maturity assessment. That gives us a realistic picture of the current state maturity, what some of the gaps are, what are some of the priorities for the organization, and what are some of the actionable recommendations to move from their current state of maturity to a higher state of maturity. So now that we have imagined a world without data governance, we know what is data governance, or we have touched upon data governance. Data governance is something that touches all the different personas within the organization. It is that connective tissue linking the different personas within the data landscape. So here are just some of the more common data personas that most organizations have. On one end of the spectrum, you have data engineers. These they build scalable data pipelines. Now, how do they benefit from data governance? Data governance ensures that they have cleaner inputs and stable platforms. So they are building these data pipelines that is loading data from source systems and transforming this data. When it comes to data scientists, they build predictive data models. And again, how do they benefit from data governance? They rely on good quality data, data that is free from biases, and uh, you know, in respect to data scientists, this is how they benefit from data governance. Data analysts are people who turn business questions into or that answer business questions with relevant data. How do they benefit from data governance? Data governance makes data assets discoverable, so they know exactly what data assets does the organization have, and provides additional context about who owns this data, how should this data is used, how this data needs to be reported on. So that's how they benefit from data governance. Compliance officer, as the name would suggest, their role is to make sure that the organization's data assets are compliant to different regulatory regimes that are applicable in their particular industry or domain, be it GDPR, CCPA, HIPAA. So that's how their role benefits from strong data governance implementation. And last but not the least, you have managers and business users. They are consuming these insights and making important decisions, be it how many marketing dollars to spend, what geographies to prioritize, what geographies to deprioritize. How do they benefit from data governance? They can make faster, more confident decisions if they are sure that they can trust the underlying data. So, data governance transforms data into a shared asset for everyone, but also that translates to it is also a shared responsibility among all of these data personas to ensure that the underlying data is solid. Now, quickly let's assess how why data governance needs to evolve and how that evolution should take place. So uh, AI, as organizations are racing towards AI readiness, these AI models are only as good as the underlying data on which it is trained. So this data must be understood, must be trustworthy and secure. Now, if you look at traditional data governance, that was modeled more around human decisions and structured data assets. But we now know that a majority of the institutional knowledge sits in unstructured data. So this data governance, traditional data governance, needs to evolve from human decisions, structured data, to more automated, embedded, and unstructured data governance. For AI success, metadata and data quality are really foundational. If your data is discoverable, if your data has the metadata that provides context on who owns this, how it should be used, how fresh this data is, does it contain sensitive data elements or not? And again, data quality is very important because your models are being trained on data, and it needs to be good quality data so it can have good AI output. Uh, as I mentioned earlier, modern data governance needs to move from manual, human only stewardship to AI assisted governance. Again, the keyword over here is AI assisting. Most of the tools that we'll be discussing, while they are integrating AI capabilities, there is still the element of stewardship required. These tools and AI capabilities that they are integrating are not replacing humans, they are aiding stewards to have a more robust implementation of the different disciplines. Last but not the least, before we move on to the underlying disciplines within data governance, uh, next we'll discuss how data governance is being transformed by AI. But before that, I also want to quickly touch upon how data governance is powering AI success. So, if you look at the different disciplines within data governance, be it data quality, we talked about how without governance you have incomplete and unreliable data, but these models need to be trained on good quality data. So governance enables quality rules and monitoring, and your models as a consequence are more accurate because they are trained on good quality data. When it comes to metadata, without data governance you have a poor understanding of the data. Who owns it? Does it contain sensitive data? Where it's sourced from? But with uh, data governance, you have standardized definitions and context. So this helps faster builds of these AI models and also correct features because you have that underlying context. When it comes to data lineage, without data governance, you have an opaque or opaque data origins. You don't have a strong sense of how this data is being sourced, what transformations are taking place. But with data governance, you have a lot of these leading marketplace tools give you end-to-end lineage, so you have a sense of how this data is being sourced, transformed, and consumed. When it comes to data security, without data governance, you don't have a good sense of the different classifications that need to be applied. Is this data sensitive? If so, what is the appropriate classification? Internal, public, confidential, or restricted? With data governance, you have these different classifications, and accordingly, you can implement role based access control. When it comes to data privacy, without data governance, you might have PII data exposed, and your models are being trained on this PII data. We already touched upon how that might have some bad consequences. And then quickly touching upon data compliance, data governance enables uh, policies that are directly linked to uh, data assets. And from a regulatory perspective, from an ethical use of AI use cases, that's is stronger or more AI ready. And then finally, ownership and stewardship. With data governance, you have clearly assigned stewardship roles, responsibilities, named individuals are identified in these different stewardship roles. So it brings more accountability and more accountability from the perspective of remediating data quality gaps or classifying sensitive data elements. So let me turn it over to my colleague who can jump a little bit into the individual data governance disciplines. Vikas, you are on mute.
Thank you. Thank you, Yash, for the valuable insights. Okay, we'll move on to the different disciplines. And yes, Yash explained about the data governance and its importance in the AI era is becoming more critical like than ever because we are talking about now a lot of data. We talk about ethical models, how this is being done, how governance powers the data governance, which Yash already touched upon. We will now talk about how we are leveraging AI to help AI also with the different disciplines within data governance, how it's helping. Now, the data governance is evolving across all the disciplines that we have in data governance, be is data quality, metadata management, security, privacy. We see a significant shift, especially in how AI is helping scale when we are talking about the tasks which were initially done by stewards and they were lot of time consuming, all the manual efforts. Now AI is transforming the data governance from reactive control to predictive and scalable enablement. We'll talk about some of these in each of the discipline. Automation now handles detection, of terms, classification, rule creation, rule suggestion, description generation, and different other aspects of the different governance disciplines using the natural language, which is more user friendly, to make processes more user friendly and independent of the technical teams, because you had to use the technical teams earlier to write queries, to understand the schemas, evaluate data quality. This is now being done in a steward. Still stewardship is required, but it is AI assisted now. So the AI is focusing on automating these things. Meanwhile, humans focus on the judgment, policy decision, and the business impact. So as Yash also mentioned, stewardship does not disappear. It evolves into validating the AI driven enrichment, the automation that we are doing through the AI, and then making informed and accountable decisions. Let's now take a look at the each discipline separately, and later we'll jump into the practical examples through some demo in which we'll try to show how they are evolving in the AI era. Next, please. So let's first talk about the metadata management, and we'll touch upon the search and discovery part. The global search is the first thing any person looks into for a data governance, because they try to find a data asset. Initially, with the traditional AI, you need to understand the schema, you need to understand where table exists, all those kind of things. But with the AI, we are now talking about the understand of the intent with the natural language. You can write down a natural language prompt, and it will give you what you were looking for. Rather than doing multiple manual steps, it gives you the exact thing that you were looking for. Now, instead of the identical results for everyone, because you will be using the same filters, it will give you the context aware personalized result as per the prompt that you will provide. We must have used chat gpts and other llm models which give you similar results. So the organization have also tried to leverage that with the different data governance tools that are available in the market nowadays. The similarity and the recommendation that uncovers with the AI search and with the recommendation that you get, it was hidden in the previous traditional search. You were not able to relate and find similar data, but now with these context driven, you are able to. Later on in the one of the demo, Yash will try to explain this more with the tool Alation. Moving on. Now we'll talk about the terms and description in the metadata management. This used to be one of the most time consuming manual tasks for any data steward. The reason is they had to manually write description for the data assets and their attributes. And also the language used to differ. There was no common language that was being used. Even though we were defining the glossaries, we were defining the language descriptions for different attributes, the data assets, but still if you are writing something, you will have your own perspective of it. They were creating those glossaries, those terms, and they were then manually mapping those terms to the data assets and the attributes. Whereas in when we talk about the AI assisted terms and description, now it gives you a description generated by itself. You can just go in, select the generate description using AI. It gives you a like a description based on the metadata, not on the data, but based on the metadata available in the tool. And then the steward can take a look, refine, apply, and then move ahead with the next task. They need not write it from the scratch. Same goes for the glossary and the term creation. You can create business terms, you can create glossaries now way faster than you used to do using the traditional governance. You can take the AI assisted model to classify the data assets against these terms, also add multiple tags as required. This also helps the discovery and the search of the data assets when you are using the natural language search options or the traditional search option using tags, synonyms, terms, descriptions. This has introduced higher productivity on the steward side, and more impact on the business side, because they can now find the data faster and do the things way faster than they used to do in the manual part. Moving on. Now let's talk about data observability. Traditionally, observability has been reactive. Used to respond to a failure. Now, whereas with the AI-enabled observability, it completely flips the model, predicting issues before they can impact the actual users. We used to write static rules, and then it used to live until we find, okay, something has changed. Someone comes to us and say, okay, we are seeing this issue in the data. Then we used to evolve our data quality rules. This is different now with the data patterns that we receive from the data observability tools. We are able to take that feedback and be proactive in defining those data static rules into a continuous monitoring ability. Now imagine, let's take an example, and imagine any organization who is into sales. They are dependent upon the inventory, correct? So if there is a pipeline that empowers that inventory, and if there are any issues with that pipeline, be it the data failures, be it there is a drift in the data asset behavior, you will not know until there is an analytic report that surfaced or there is actual impact on the user. Whereas in using the observabilities that are available through different tools, you are able to learn using the a pattern of the machine learning model, that you used to get these many records, you used to get these many nulls, you used to get these many unique records. If there is any drift from that, it gives you anomaly. You can either accept, reject it, then learns from it again, but it is giving you a proactive chance to address such kind of issues. Moving on, let's move on to data quality now. Traditionally, ensuring data quality relied on expert, because the technical team has to write down queries. They have to understand the schemas. They have to understand every aspect of the technical terms, and then they can only write technical queries to ensure the data quality is consistent. Data quality is as per the threshold of an organization. This is changing now. It is more user friendly because tools allow you to understand those technical expressions using natural language. Tools allow you to write those expressions using your natural language. It also makes it easy for the steward, because now you need not go into each of the table, do profiling manually and understand what all rules should be applied. Some of the rules it gives you by default based on the profiling. It suggests you, okay, this could be possible, this could be possible, and then you can choose based on the profiling results and based on your understanding which rules applies on that particular data asset. This shift in data quality from reactive to proactive, allowing stewards to spend less time in coding and more time on improving the outcomes. So, the whole idea that we are trying to present here is the business outcome. The faster rule creation, consistent quality in the description, consistent data quality, trusted data for the decision making. But one more thing, one important thing I would say, which Yash also touched upon, that the governance is always about human oversight. You cannot overlook the human oversight. So while AI can suggest rules, automate checks, recommend validations, the final accountability and approval is always with the data steward. This ensures that the automation recommendations align with the business policy and the compliance requirements. With this note, I'll jump into the demo part of it and we'll try to show you some of the key disciplines, how the tool looks like and how it is helping.
Hello, Vikas.
Yes, I hope you guys can see my
Yes,
screen.
please.
Okay. Moving on. So we'll first take the example of a term. So I have a term open on my screen. It is called product code. The first thing that I would like to show is the description generation using AI. So I have some description written for this. I can just click on the regenerate. It uses the metadata of this attribute, not the actual data, and gives you this. It again says review might be needed. So stewardship is still required, but based on the knowledge that is available, based on the metadata that is provided, you are able to receive a description of a term. The same is applicable for a catalog item, for a data asset, for an attribute, for a rule. You can either accept it or reject it, or you can change it as per your requirement. The other thing that I would like to show you is this is a term. Now, if I need to assign this term to different data asset, I will have to go in manually on different data asset and then figure out whether this is applicable or not. Whereas in it gives you a functionality where you go in and enable the AI detection. As soon as I do that, I just need to publish this. As soon as I do that, you will start seeing some suggestions that where this term can be applied. Now, whether or not that term should be applied is again on the steward. You see, we have started getting the suggestions on what all terms this can be applied. You can also see a confidence score. When you click on it, you will see that this confidence is based on the algorithm that counts in various aspects such as the assignment or rejection on terms for the following single probability values. So based on the metadata that you have, it takes that into uh, suggestions and then prompts you whether or not it could be a possible term suggestion. Whether or not you have to accept and reject, it's up to the data steward. Whatever you do here is also taken into the impact of the suggestion it provides you. Now moving on, I'll try to touch base something on the data quality side, and I'll try to give you an example how data quality is being evolved using AI. So I'm trying to create a rule. So let's say I want to create a rule for email validation. First of all, it gives me a functionality to find if there is any similar rule. So there is already a similar rule available. You can see this. So this helps you avoid duplicates. Now let's say if I want to create something from scratch. Now, initially, the steward has to go in and apply different kind of conditions. They have to understand the technical terms here, or they have to like choose the query part of it. Whereas in it gives you a functionality where you can provide the natural language prompts. I'll give you an example here. So I've just given the natural prompt and I'm asking it to create a rule that is able to validate this thing. Now, as you can see, it has already created a prompt, the rule that gives me everything that I needed to test. Also now I'm able to test this out without like doing any manual. I can just write in, generate different inputs and test, okay, if this is validating the prompt that I gave. Yes, I wanted this in this specific format. It is there. That it should not miss the keyword, it should not have hyphens, only 4 characters there. It is validating everything. So without any technical knowledge, I'm able to generate a rule right ahead. Let's take an example. So this is the table I'm using as a reference, and I used one of the value here to generate that prompt. If I go to the data quality of this particular table, I can already see it has rule suggestions. This is based on the profiling that we did for this particular table in the system. We can see the different rules. These are default rules available from a particular tool. You can write on your rules also. We'll show in that also very quickly. You can either accept or reject these. Now, this rule that we have created, let's publish this rule now. And as soon as we go here, see, this is the rule that I created. It is already showing up in a suggestion. Based on the metadata that is available in the tool, it is already showing up in the suggestion that you have this rule created. It might be applicable on this data. And we already verified that this is based on a particular uh, profiling. So we used one of the data as a reference and created this rule without doing anything. Now let's take one more example of it. So this is one of the tool which is already available in the system. A person can go in and could have challenges on understanding what this means. Like, I can see all those things. What does mean? I can just go here and say, explain this to me. It will explain what this actually means. So this is making it easy for the people for the end users who are business users understand this. You need not rely on the technical people now to create these rules or even understand the existing rules. With this, I will hand it over to Yash for the final part of the demo where he'll try to explain about the search and discovery through the natural language using Alation, one of the market leading tool in the data governance. Over to you, Yash.
Thank you, Vikas. Let me share my screen. Okay, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay, so this is an example of Alation environment. Many of you might be aware Alation is one of the leading tools in the marketplace. There are several other leading tools in the marketplace. For the sake of this demonstration, we are using Alation, but these capabilities are found in several other leading marketplace tools. So let's talk about data discovery. Now, this is an example of a home page of an Alation implementation, but let's say I want to start with the home page search and I want to search for bank account details. I have already pre-typed the search criteria over here. This is the traditional way of searching for different data assets. So I begin by inputting my search criteria, and it shows that there are a couple tables, there is a view, there is a file system, there are directories. They all have some variation of bank account details in the name, and that's why it's showing up in this list. But let's say I want to refine this a little bit more. I am only looking at tables within a particular schema, and I want to exclude views. So I would start by this homepage search. I see at the outset that my search criteria is returning close to 1800 results. This is a bit excessive for me. I want to continue to refine this list to arrive at a more manageable list of search records. So how do I accomplish that? You'll see on the left hand side of the screen are a variety of different filters that I can use. Again, this is the traditional approach for data discovery and searching for data assets within a catalog. So I start applying the filters to reduce this list. So let's say I'm only interested in tables. So this should reduce my list significantly, and it does. But then I want to continue to refine it even further. So I can either filter on certain domains, I can filter on specific data sources. For the sake of this demonstration, let's say I'm only interested in Snowflake data source. So I can use this filter, and this reduces my uh, search results even further. Furthermore, there are other criterias I can use. I can limit it by a particular schema. So let's say I'm only interested in the finance schema, and this reduces my list down to an even more refined list of search results. So you'll see that this is a more this involves some more steps. This involves at least three or four steps to continue to refine that list. It expects the user to have some knowledge of what filters to use, what criteria to use to reduce this list. But now with Alation and similar tools in the marketplace, integrating AI capabilities to enable semantic search, uh, this, which is currently a 3-4 step process, can further be reduced to a single step process by entering entering a search prompt or a search criteria. So let's give that a try as well. uh, so when you're on the home page, currently this is in a toggle off position. You switch it to a toggle on position, and for the sake of this exercise I have written a pre-entered prompt, but I can quickly go through the prompt so you understand how the prompt looks like. The better the quality of your prompt, the better the quality of your search results. So let's say now I'm entering a search criteria. I'm only looking for tables, exclude views in Snowflake, for bank account details, and provide table title, table description, and schema in tabular output. This is my search criteria, and it takes a few seconds, but you'll see what was earlier a 3 4 5 step process is now reduced to a single step, uh, depending on the richness of your prompt you have entered. Better the quality of the prompt you are entering, the better the results you will get. So you'll see that it returns that it found several tables related to bank account details in the Snowflake data source. Uh, it, it it tells you that if it was or wasn't able to filter out the views, but you can see that this is a more acceptable, manageable list of search results. For the sake of this demonstration, I just asked for table title, schema, and description, but you can expand that to show more attributes in a single search criteria. So hopefully you get a sense that what was earlier a 2 3 4 step process is now translated into a single step process. Now this is just an one search criteria at the time, but tools such as Alation have the ability where you can build your own agents, or you can use some native or native agents that come out of the box. Among them is catalog search, and here is an example where I have entered a few search criterias for the sake of this demonstration. You can run an evaluation. Now, this particular demonstration is only showing you 3 cases. You can have 10 or even 100 cases. So what was earlier a manual process, starting with the search criteria, then using filters to reduce the list of results, then transformed into where you can enter AI prompts to get results faster, but that was still one at a time. Now with the help of these agents in Agent Studio, you are able to have 100 different search criterias running at one instance. And you can going back to our presentation topic, which was scaling data governance in the AI era, you can hopefully see how this process is now scaled up or accelerated to run 100 of search criterias at one time. So hopefully between Atacama and Alation, which are both leading tools in the marketplace, you have a sense of how these tools are evolving to integrate AI capabilities, and how this is accelerating or helping to scale different data governance activities. Uh, we want to stress that these capabilities are not to replace the steward or the human, but to aid or accelerate their output. So let me stop sharing. Vikas, can you go back to the slides so we can show them some helpful links that they can explore?
Sure. Could you please move ahead? Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are some useful links that you can log in into and figure out and also find some useful information about the features that it provides. So we use Atacama and Alation for the demo perspective. On the right hand side, you see those vendor links, which gives you an idea in detail about these features that we tried to showcase. Also, we talked about the data quality in the AI era. So Yash has also mentioned this quite couple of times that why it is very important to have the consistent data quality. It used to be important in even the traditional way, but with the AI, where the decision making wants to be completely data driven, wants to be through an automated model, data quality, you need to be able to trust your data. Only then you can rely on the output of the model that you are using to generate the output for your decision. The regulations that Yash told about, the general protection regulation, GDPR, and the other one is also very important because it can lead into penalties, regulation issues if we don't follow. So just couple of links around that, and also a brief introduction about the data governance that you might find useful. With this note, we'll jump into the QA session. Over to you, Alex, please.
Yeah, thank you very much for presentation. We have very many questions. I just trying to pick several for discussion. Yeah, so wait. Yeah, first question is uh, how do you choose which data governance framework should be adopted? Are there any key KPI metrics or indicators that would help take decision?
Yeah, so earlier in the presentation, I had referenced how there is no one size fits all, and oftentimes it depends upon the maturity of the organization's data governance implementation, what they are prioritizing, what domain do they belong to. Some are more heavily regulated than others. So, from a data governance framework perspective, there are of course some very popular ones. DEMA, DMBOK, DCAM are among some of the popular ones. But then you have organizations who, based on their size, implementation, might uh, might uh, might customize some of these leading marketplace data governance frameworks to suit their organizations. So it is very important at the outset to perform such a maturity assessment that gives you a realistic picture of where your current maturity is, and accordingly you can then pick the right data governance framework, the right operating model, be it centralized, decentralized, or federated model. So hopefully there is no blanket answer per se. It is depends on the results of the maturity assessment.
Mhm.
Vikas, unless
Uh,
you have something to add.
Also, if I could add just one thing, it also depends upon the need of the organization. Some organizations priority are into regulations, some has a priority of the lineage, some has a priority of data quality. So the data governance frameworks is tightly coupled with the tool. So basically what I'm trying to say, sometimes we rush into the tool selection. The data governance framework decides what tool you choose. So based on the assessment that you do, based on the maturity model of your organization, you decide a framework as Yash mentioned, and then you jump into what exactly you are looking for from a tool perspective.
Thank you. Yeah, let's move to another very important questions that usually asked during AI talks. Is it realistic to expect AI to automate data governance, or will humans always be the bottleneck?
No, I mean, I don't again think of humans as being the bottleneck in this process. We have been stressing how these AI capabilities are supposed to aid the steward and not replace the steward. So we showed an example of these AI capabilities helping you write data rules or explain the data quality rules or to formulate data governance definitions. As these capabilities currently exist, it still involves a data steward reviewing the definition that has been produced by these AI models or the rules that have been produced and refining it in the context of their particular organization, their particular domain. That contextualization is very important, that you are capturing these titles, descriptions, and definition in the context of your organization, your business, and not a standard definition that might be produced. So let me again stress, stewards or people in different data governance roles are not to be interpreted as bottlenecks, but more as AI is supposed to aid them to accelerate their output.
Mhm. Uh, yeah, maybe one more question. Uh, yeah, you talked a lot about importance of data governance. So, can companies successfully build AI solutions without strong data governance, at least in early stages?
Uh, I would indicate no. Uh, there has to be some semblance of data governance. Stewardship roles and responsibilities need to be outlined. The underlying data needs to be measured for quality, and when data quality gaps are identified, they need to be remediated. Uh, I want to stress again, your AI models are only as good as the underlying data on which it is trained. If your underlying data is of poor quality, there are quality gaps. If sensitive data is being exposed to these models, then the outcome will either be suboptimal, or the outputs might be something that the organization is not intending in terms of uh, being non-compliant with any data privacy regulations that pertain to their particular industry. So I I think data governance, especially metadata cataloging, data quality, data security, and privacy, are very foundational to AI success.
Mhm.
Vikas, do you have any points you want to add here?
I actually want to add, so let me try to add on the previous part also here. So where we talked about the human being bottleneck, as
Mhm.
Yash explained it very clearly, that humans are not a bottleneck here. Stewardship is always required. And also where Yash mentioned that when we are talking about these models being specific for your organizations, we talk about creating your own escalators. So there was one session that was holded again by the same community yesterday, where we talked about creating models which was leveraged outside Colibra. The reason was Colibra does provide the similar functionalities in terms of the metadata generation, the rule creation, but how to scope that to your organization? You have to provide your context. You have to provide the context and the metadata as per the scoping of your organizational needs. Similarly, when we talk about the AI models being built, no matter in the early stages or on the final stages, data governance is very, very important. If you can't trust the data, as Yash mentioned, it is as good as the data underneath. Also, we talk about the moral models that are being ethical models that has to be created. How will you ensure that? You can only ensure when you have a governance on the data to ensure it is trusted, who is accessing that data, who should not access that data, all those kind of things.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, and I think we can conclude our session. So thank you very much, Yash, Vikas, for this interesting presentation about importance of data governance. Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. On the event page, on this talk page, you can find, you will be able to find a presentation file and also a recording. So also, if you like this talk or maybe you don't like, please rate this session and give speakers a page. Yeah, your feedback is very valuable for data Zen community to create new meetups. So thank you very much, everyone. Yeah, have a good day. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.